Welcome back to the Men's Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be going through part 2 of Marine Corps basic training, the part that I actually got hurt. If you have not seen the first one, make sure to check it out on my channel. Let's go ahead and jump into it. I did bring some notes in here just because I want to make sure I get everything in that I can. The very first thing when you're in the Marine Corps is that there's 3 phases. The first phase is you're at the base. This was in San Diego. The second phase, you're in Camp Pendleton. Third phase, you come back and you complete the Crucible, the end of Bootcamp. So this is the hardest part for me because I got hurt in the first phase. I was 1 week away from going to Camp Pendleton, and this is where you shoot the guns and hiking, backpacking, and you're also gonna, like I said, shoot the guns as well up there. What happened was that it was just a normal training routine. We went through training out in the field, did some obstacle courses, and at the end of the obstacle course, the whole company was out there on the field lined up just in rows, and we were doing different drills. We were doing carries and drags, and I went through the line multiple times. But the very last time, that's when I got hurt. The crazy part is that I was dragging people and carrying people that were twice my size. I'm 5'1", and I was dragging people that were at least 170, maybe up to 200. And the last person I dragged, this was maybe 50 yards, I guess. I don't know how long it was. I don't remember. So I started going, and then maybe halfway through, my knee had just buckled and I just fell straight to the ground. And literally after I fell, like a few minutes later, the drill instructors were hollering, just gathering people that were done with drill. So they saw me laying on the ground. So they started running towards me, screaming at me, yelling at me to get up, because they thought I was faking it. I told them that my knee is messed up. I can't get up. And they were still yelling at me to get up. You know, that's how it is in the Marines, in the basic training, is that they don't care. They see anytime you're complaining or whining as an excuse, and they will push you harder. So they saw me sitting on the ground, on my knee, like holding my knee, and they thought that I was faking it. So finally they realized like I was actually down and I couldn't get up. I had to go get checked out because there's no way I was going to be able to train, at least at this point. I thought I'd be okay afterwards, and maybe a little ice, little stretching would do the trick. And then eventually I went into medical to get checked out, and they did a knee x-ray on me, I think is what it was. And they told me that I tore my ACL. And I was just like, well, I can still train, right? I'm feeling a lot better. This was maybe like a couple of days after where I felt better. And I was telling them, hey, I think I can go and train because we're about to leave here. And they're like, no, you tore your ACL. You can't go train. And I was just broken, man, because I was a week away. And I remember as I was coming back from medical, one of the drill instructors actually gave me encouragement. He gave me encouragement. He broke character and gave me encouragement. He knew I was a good recruit. I always put out wherever I'm at. I always put out, always work hard. And that just was instilled in me from wrestling in high school and just going through a lot of things that I went through as a young kid growing up. But I always work hard, and they noticed that during training, and that's why they put me as a house mice and asked me to be a squad leader before as well. So they knew that I was a hard worker, and they knew I wasn't someone that you would quit. So he broke character and told me, like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And I ended up having to go to med hold, which is like a medical hold where all the hurt recruits go to and then just wait and sit out, see if they can heal up on their own and get back to training. And after a while there, I think I was there for a while, like I don't even know how long it was. Honestly, it's been such a long time. I knew that I wasn't going back. I knew that the doctor was saying that, yeah, you've torn your ACL, you're going to need surgery. So weeks went by, and I saw some of my friends going back to training because they were fine. You get a lot of stress fractures in there. A lot of people get a lot of femur stress fractures just from marching and just training and stuff. So they're usually healed up and having to go back into training. They might have to pick up with a different platoon, but they go back and do the training. So met some cool dudes in there, and some of us that were broken, we were called broken recruits. We had to go to another squad bay because this is where I was going to be at for a while. I had no idea how long it was going to be, but they transferred us over to another squad bay, which is actually a squad bay where a lot of the recruits quit. So we were put in with recruits that were going home because they either quit or they didn't want to go. I guess either they quit or they tried to commit suicide or whatever it was. They just quit. So that's where we were put. And, you know, we had to wear the RSVP sweatshirts, or they did at least. We didn't have to because we weren't quitting. We just got hurt. But they saw that we were wearing our sweatshirts, because when you're in there, when you first come into basic training, you have your green sweatshirt, your green sweatpants, and the people that did quit will have our SVP to show that they've quit. But because we were wearing the same sweatshirts, you know, whenever I'd walk to chow, they'd still be yelling at me like, "You quitter, you know," and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna go home to your mama," things like that, just putting us down because they thought we were gonna quit. And that was really hard because I knew deep down inside that I didn't quit. I just got hurt. And that was the hardest thing to wrap my head around, because I've seen some people that have gone through there, and I'm like, how the heck did this guy go through boot camp? You know, so it's just, I knew that I would have been able to make it. I knew that. And that was just my experience, was that I was hurt in first phase of Marine Corps basic training, which is kind of embarrassing, honestly. You know, my brother was in the Marines. He completed it, did his 4 years. So, you know, it was just a bummer. Like, there's things that you can't control. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you're showing up, you're doing it, and sometimes life just hits you, and you can't do anything else other than just accept the loss. And that's what happened. I had to accept the loss. I had to understand that things happen for a reason. And this situation did happen for a reason, which I'm going to share later on, and what happened almost 10 years after. But let me look at my notes and see what else we got. When you get into the squad bay, the drill instructors are more chill with you because they know that you did get hurt. So they weren't on you. They were on the people that were going home and quitting. But when I got in there, I met some dudes in there that had been there for a while. This one buddy that I remember was in there for almost 2 years because the medical hospital would mess up his paperwork or lose his paperwork. So he'd have to start the whole process all over. And this is a long process. You have to get a bunch of paperwork filled out. You have to go to your physical therapy. You have to go to your doctor appointments. There's just so much paperwork that they document so that you have. So when you do get out, you have that with you. Yeah, so there were people in there for a while, and I can't imagine being in basic training for 2 years. I almost did 1 year, but for 2 years, that'd be insane. And the guy that was in there that I met, he was really cool, really down to earth, and he was kind of a leader, is what I would say. He was someone that was in there that knew what was going on, and was the one that was kind of in charge, I would say. But I met some other dudes in there for a while. And if you guys watch this, you guys know who you are. So, yeah. So anyways, we didn't know when we'd go home. So every day was the same. Every day you wake up at the same time, either 4 or 5 a.m., I think, to go to chow. You know, you get yelled at from the drill instructors out there. And I remember one incident when I was going to chow. I had seen one of my drill instructors. They were getting ready to graduate, and they recognized me, and they came out to me, and they were like, "Mighty Mouse, is that you?" And I was like, yes, sir. And he's like, "You're still here?" I was like, "Yes, sir." And I remember just tears. I was trying to hold my tears in because of how painful it was to know that my platoon was going to graduate. And I was trying to hold back as much as I could because it was just a hard moment right there, because he was like, just keep your head up, man. You got this. I'm sorry you got hurt. And just told me to just keep my head up, and he walked off. And I remember just thinking to myself, keep my composure, hold my head up, and just march proud. And I marched proud to Chow because like I said, there's nothing that I could have done. Throughout the journey there, months went by. Saw another platoon graduate, or another company graduate after me. So I saw almost three companies graduate while I was there. So from there, we did have access to the gym. So thank God for that, because that is what really pushed me to work on my fitness, really, because that's all we could do is just, we'd wake up, go to Chow, go to the gym, watch TV. That was it. That was all we could do. But we were given opportunities to go help out the civilians that worked there. And I met an awesome, cool dude, Rafa, which I'll talk to you in a few. But yes, the gym was there for us so that we were able to go. My knee was decent right now. I could walk. If you have torn ACL, you can still walk eventually. You will need surgery, but you will be able to still do things. There have been instances where I would you feel my knee just slip and it hurt. I fall straight to the ground and it would hurt, but I'd be able to build it back up and be okay. But it would happen often, so I had to be very careful with my knee. But we were able to go work out. Got pretty big. I was at 155. I was benching around 330 was the most I got in the Marines, because that's all we could do is work out, which was such a blessing because it helps with your mindset, helps with getting out of that depression. And I remember just being pretty big in there and getting bigger, taking my protein powders and things like that in there. It was literally kind of like a prison, maybe jail. Not as bad, but you did have a little freedom. You couldn't go outside the base, even though there were some people in there that were able to. But I'm not going to go too much detail into that. Yeah, so we had the gym. We had some cool dudes in there. And then we were able to work with civilians. There's one dude in there. I will mention his name because he's a guy that I will be forever grateful for, because he took us in. It was two of my buddies that were pretty close, friendship there. We're able to go and work for this guy. His name's Rafa. He was the funniest guy, the most chill guy that we've met. And we were able to help him with sports events. He would set up soccer fields for the kids in there. So they would have kids come out there and play soccer on the fields. And we would referee, clean up, things like that. So it kept us busy throughout that time. And that was such a good experience to have, because we were able to see, we were just able to keep our minds off from just being stuck there. It is depressing because when you're in there, you see the planes flying by. You see the planes going past your bunk because you're literally right by the airport. So it got so depressing in there. But we did our best that we could just keep ourselves at a good mindset. So the months kept going by. We got in a little trouble in there, with being able to get some things in, like chewing tobacco. We were able to get chewing tobacco in there. We were able to get some alcohol in there. So yeah, we kept ourselves busy, but we were just stuck. So we were trying to turn devices pretty much. Cough medicine as well is what I did in there. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but it was just my experience. I was just dumb and young back then. But when you're on that cough medicine, you can get pretty high on it. So don't recommend doing that. But yeah, so we were pretty crazy in there. We'd wrestle around with each other and just see who the boss is. I did pretty good with wrestling some bigger guys. There's one guy that was really good in there, so it was very hard for me to take him down, but I had taken him down. It was just literally, you're just in there. It's kind of like a jail. So the day that I got out, I think you knew ahead of time that you were getting out. So I remember going to the doctor visits, and they would have your paperwork, and I think they had the information on whether they completed the work. But I remember there was one day that they told me, hey, you're going home in a few days. and my whole face just like, it was just like a ghost because I was actually gonna go home after 8 months of being in there. It was a long time. It was a long time. You didn't really have the outside world. You were just stuck in the Marine Corps basic training regimen. So it was just constant. Had to be on your toes when you go outside of the squad bay. You know, you had to make sure that you were still carrying yourself with discipline when you're out there. So it was a long journey. But I remember coming out of it, flying back to Indiana and getting home and seeing my friends and seeing family. I highly just recommend, don't get hurt in basic training. Don't get hurt. If it's that bad, then yes, go see medical hold. But if it's not that bad, do not go to medical hold because they will hold you back. They will keep you back. So don't even go for anything unless it's serious. But that was my experience, guys. And now I want to share with you why things happen for a reason. So 10 years later, I guess, I don't know how long it's been. I guess maybe a couple years ago since my son's been born, maybe 3 years ago. You know, when you get out, I still got some medical benefits, but I didn't get a rating for my knee. I got a 0%. So if you don't know what a rating is whenever you get hurt, either when you're in basic training or when you're out actually serving, if you get hurt out there, you will get a rating for whatever injury that you had. So there are a lot of people that have high ratings because they've seen war, they got hurt during battle. And so they'll have some ratings. But when I got out, they didn't give me any rating, which I didn't expect any rating anyways. I was fine with it. I was just glad to get out. So I got out to the VA hospital in Indianapolis and set up my surgery. This is back in 2010 is when I had my surgery, I think, or maybe 2011 is when I got my surgery. But I was going to the medical VA, getting my knee checked out and scheduling a surgery for my knee. Got my surgery, and then years after this happened, you know, I got married in 2021, and I went to go get checked out, and they actually gave me a rating. So after I was married for a little bit, my wife got pregnant with my son, Eli, and the VA was going to give me all the severance pay from the years that I didn't get. And it was exactly the same amount that I needed to have so that I could pay for my son's hospital bills. And I was just shocked because it didn't happen until my son was born and we had to pay those hospital bills. And I'm just thankful that it happened that way. I'm sure if I was given that money, I would have wasted that money. It would have been gone in a couple weeks because I was so immature. I was so just not ready to grow up. I'm thankful that when that money came in, it was for my son and being able to pay for his hospital bills. And I'm just shocked how God works because that could have gone differently. And I needed it during that time. And like I said, things happen for a reason. You may not see it now. You may not see it during the storm, during this difficult situation, but there's reason why things happen. So if you're going through a tough time or you're seeing things just not working out, there's reasons for everything. I wouldn't have traded that experience for anything. Would have liked to go back and completed it? Yes. But things would have been different now. I might not have met my wife or had my son or had my daughter. So you are where you're at for a reason, and things happen for a reason. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. I don't know. Hopefully I got everything. It's been such a long time ago that this has happened, but I wanted to share my experience. I wanted to share my story more on here, and there's a lot more stories to come. So I will be pushing those out as well. But before I end this, I want to share this one last thing, which is if you're a dad like I am, make sure that you are living your life with discipline. Make sure that you're living life with intention with your kids, present with your wife, because that's the most important thing. Don't indulge in your pleasures. Don't indulge in the alcohol. It's only drifting you apart from your family. And that's exactly what I do, is that I help men develop discipline, develop better habits, become a stronghold for their families so that they can have a lasting impact on their kids and their generation. So make sure if you're struggling with your health and you're struggling with being your best self, then make sure to send me a direct message on here or hit me up on Instagram or TikTok. That's where I'm usually at pretty much daily. So anyways, that is it, guys. We will see you guys in the next episode. Achieve your highest potential. Peace.